How often should married couples have sex? It's the question almost everyone wonders about, but hardly anyone actually asks out loud. And if you're asking it right now, whether you're worried you're not doing it enough, or wondering if your frequency is normal, you're not alone. If you find this conversation helpful, please subscribe to the channel for more evidence-based relationship research that actually matters. Here's what might surprise you. The answer isn't what most people think it is. Back in 2015, a team of researchers led by Amy Muiz published a landmark study in social psychological and personality science that analyzed data from thousands of married couples. They wanted to answer one simple question: does more sex equal more happiness? The findings were striking. Yes, sex and relationship satisfaction were connected. But there was a plateau. Couples who had sex about once a week reported significantly higher happiness and relationship satisfaction than those having sex less frequently. But here's the crucial part. Couples having sex twice a week, 3 times a week, or even more frequently, they weren't any happier. The happiness boost peaked at around once a week, then leveled off. It wasn't a linear relationship where more always meant better. It plateaued. This finding got attention because it contradicted what a lot of people assume, that more frequent sex automatically means a stronger, happier marriage. The research suggested something different, that there's a threshold, not an endless ladder. But we can't just talk about one study. The General Social Survey, which has tracked American sexual behavior for decades, gives us a broader picture of what's actually happening in real marriages. According to that data, the median frequency for married couples is about once a week. That aligns with the happiness plateau from Muiz research. But, and this is important, there's enormous variation. Some couples are satisfied with sex a few times a month. Others prefer multiple times a week. The averages mask the reality that different couples have genuinely different needs and desires. Age and length of marriage matter too. When you look at the General Social Survey data across decades, a clear pattern emerges. Couples in their 20s and 30s tend to have sex more frequently than couples in their 40s and 50s, and that frequency continues to decline into later decades. This isn't shocking. Life gets busier, bodies change, hormones shift. But the data also shows that length of marriage is a factor independent of age. Even accounting for age, couples who've been married longer tend to have sex less frequently than newer couples. That's not a failure. It's just what the data shows across large populations. Some couples maintain higher frequency throughout their marriage. Others gradually shift to less frequent but still deeply satisfying intimate lives. Both patterns appear in the research. So if the research suggests that once a week is the happiness sweet spot, why do so many married people feel worried or unsatisfied about their frequency? Why doesn't knowing the number fix the problem? That's because raw frequency, the actual count, might not be the real issue at all. What matters far more is whether both partners want roughly the same thing. A couple having sex once a week where both partners genuinely want that, they're in a completely different situation than a couple having sex once a week where one partner desperately wants more and the other wants less. One couple is aligned. The other has a desire mismatch. And that mismatch, that gap between what partners want, is what actually predicts unhappiness and relationship strain. Research consistently shows that desire discrepancy matters more than the absolute number. A couple having sex twice a month, where both partners are content, will likely be happier than a couple having sex twice a week, where one partner feels pressured and the other feels rejected. Frequency is just the symptom. The real issue is alignment. Understanding this distinction changes how you think about the problem entirely. It's not about hitting some magic number. It's about understanding what each partner actually needs and wants, and finding a way forward together. So what does this actually look like in practice? Let's say one partner experiences what researchers call spontaneous desire, that spark that ignites on its own, often without much context or trigger. They might wake up thinking about intimacy, or feel that pull during an ordinary evening. The other partner, meanwhile, experiences responsive desire. For them, the feeling builds gradually, often in response to touch, emotional connection, or deliberate focus on their partner. Neither is better or worse. They're just different paths to the same place. The problem emerges when these two patterns go unrecognized. The spontaneous partner might feel rejected or unwanted. The responsive partner might feel pressured or rushed. They're operating on completely different timelines. And without understanding that, sex becomes a source of conflict, rather than connection. Here's where the research gets genuinely useful. Studies on desire discrepancy show that couples who explicitly talk about their desire patterns, who understand whether they're spontaneous or responsive, and why, report significantly higher satisfaction than those who don't. It's not about forcing frequency upward or downward. It's about creating space for both types of desire to be understood and valued. A responsive partner might benefit from setting aside dedicated time to focus on their partner without distractions. That deliberate attention can help responsive desire emerge naturally. A spontaneous partner might learn to appreciate and initiate these scheduled moments, understanding them not as obligation, but as intentional connection. Some couples find that understanding these patterns gives them permission to stop feeling broken. They're not mismatched in desire, they're mismatched in timing and trigger. And timing is something you can actually work with. Communication becomes the pivot point. Instead of asking, "Why don't you want me?" the conversation shifts to, "How does desire work for you?" Instead of keeping score or feeling resentful about frequency, couples can ask practical questions. What helps you feel connected? What makes desire easier to access? Do you need more non-sexual touch, more emotional conversation, more uninterrupted time together? These are the conversations that actually move things forward. And they're conversations that don't require a therapist to start, though many couples find that support genuinely helpful. The research on desire also shows something else worth noting. Desire itself is responsive to how secure and understood someone feels in the relationship. When partners feel truly seen and accepted, desire often naturally increases, not because frequency was mandated, but because the emotional foundation shifted. This is why those couples talking in bed, having real conversations about what they actually need, often find that intimacy follows. It starts with understanding. The happiness research told us that once a week was the threshold for most couples. But the desire research tells us something more important. Alignment matters infinitely more than absolute numbers. A couple having sex once a month who truly understand and value each other's desire patterns will report higher satisfaction than a couple mechanically meeting some external standard. The goal isn't frequency, the goal is being known, being wanted, and wanting in return. If you're navigating this in your own marriage, start there. Notice your own desire pattern. Have that conversation with your partner without judgment or defensiveness. Listen to how they experience desire. And from that foundation of understanding, let the frequency take care of itself. If you found this helpful, subscribe so you never miss the next one. We're exploring the research on what actually builds lasting, connected marriages, not the myths, just what the evidence shows. Thank you for being here.